So today I'll be getting into the mystery of the somewhat unimportant unelement relating. So today, so today I'll be getting into the mystery of the somewhat unimportant unelement relating things that I've done to present in this way. I would call this the Xylospoke, referring to all of the hidden abilities that could be suggested to seem like something that should be speaking or have spoken but don't speak at all. So it's like having the ability to do the impossible. Yay. So the aim of this video is to divulge into the missing principal object variety in the Xylospoke. I think about it in hopes to obviously get the same certain name that I had that expressed all the qualities of it being the sort of substance that goes, let's say, it holds the keys of a xylophone together. Just not to get too much into it now, but the sense of the things that are missing would be elements of a system that I could place with Spaciap, not side by side, but with the pieces together. The whole trouble being that the hydrogenation relation to the Spaciap was very detrimental to the people who already had alternatives to the hydrogenation relation. But obviously, it seemed like on their account, they still took the nominal and numeric relation of the hydrogenation relation, and therefore they suffered the same consequences that people did as Mendeleev did with hydrogen. Now today there is no story. We're purely into the somewhat proprietary, but definitely not properly proprietary Xylospoke. There would have been an initial thing, so we can get into this, what this initial thing might have been. We could have called this die. This is die. Like how you could call something that lives can die, and so all that lives can die, and so all that is die. All that really is, and all that is not, could be seen as dying. And so dyes, like different colored dyes, dye themselves. This sort of dye, this sort of initial thing that comes before Xylospoke, but it doesn't really, I guess. And so we guess if I can go into the important principle of the quality of the material, the qualia of Xylospoke, which is dye regression, a somewhat two-pronged process of the regressive aspect, moving the dye in a way that gives it its own, like I said, material. You can call it a logos of appreciation and determinateness, where there, as you may imagine in some normal material, you would need to guide the material with your own material system things. And so this is the regression in the normal type of dye. This dye die itself, like I was saying. We have in connection to this a way of building up into what I was saying before as the things that hold the xylophone together. Because obviously there's a quality that we haven't gone into without a name of. And so I would say, well, I call this quality the shimmering Xylospoke. So what the Xylo represents here is how, like in a computer, we're made up of different parts that are like put together, but they soak in the dye, like how something would usually soak in dye. And it's shimmering because there is a quality of the light being soaking in the dye as well. So you could imagine rather than the quality being somewhat preventing the dye from sticking by allowing it to regress. And it is in this regressing part that the shimmering Xylospoke shimmers or is shimmering. You could imagine a system that has options appear shimmeringly and soakingly. And just before we get onto the mysterious quality name, we have to consider what is linked to it through the Xylospoke. We call this RGC. And even here there is mysterious names. It came to me in a vision of rocky, gravelly connections, rocky giant caverns or something like that. The sense was that this is the sort of material supporting the dye once it gets into, let's say, a way of being handled rather than just being fundamental. Closely, when something's fundamental, it's hard to handle. So you can imagine that dye regression becoming a sort of rocky cavern for a computer to appear like it's showing images like Plato's cave. And yeah, just the whole video being about finding the names of the things that I want to do. I have to kind of spontaneously get into it. I guess I would call it something that relates to the different frequencies of the spectrums that are there. From what I remember, the names were somewhat related to things. And I guess I'll just try and speak until I'm confident in what name there could be. See, in the world, there are lots of different things to hear and see, but I think overall, what makes you feel happiest, the lowest, would be the things that I would need to reiterate and have reiterated before. But all I remember is calling one something that I still don't have the confidence in me to reiterate. It seems like this one is wrong, and so I have to come up with two familiar words that kind of represent the feeling that was there, maybe in just this one word. And I guess I could call it something like tog and moth kind of fits into the sound. So yeah.